Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning, and again, happy Independence Day, July 4th here at Saratoga, day number 2 of the extended 46-day Saratoga meet. Happy to be here, and certainly happy you joined us. Coming up a little bit later on, Jena Antonucci. She has a nice one in the Sanford a little bit later on. She has another horse on the card, a couple more tomorrow. So I thought we'd get her in to talk about those horses and more. A little bit after that, Chris Griffin gave the last call ever at Aqueduct last Sunday. Did a nice job there. But Chris, of course, the announcer at NYRA tracks that time of year, in town today because he's on America's Day at the Races for America's Night at the Races. They'll be doing some harness tonight. So I think Chris is in town to co-host that. So we'll have him a little bit later on. But we kick things off with our friend Matt Shifman from Horse Racing Nation. Good morning.
Morning, Seth. Thank you for having me on again this year.
Happy to. And speaking of Aqueduct, you were down for closing days. What were your impressions? I said I thought it was a fun day, but you know, to me, I've been using bittersweet now for a long time, and it's sad for New York racing. I think a three track circuit is the optimum, but we're in the 21st century, and you know times change. But I do think it's a little sad. But the day itself, I thought was great. Nice, enthusiastic crowd.
Oh, it was absolutely a great day. Enthusiastic and a real mixed type of crowd there. Not the usual, not the usual Aqueduct. I mean, one thing I was really struck by was that there were kids there. There were families there, and that's not usually an Aqueduct thing. It was more of a kind of a crowd like you see up here or at Monmouth Park or something like that. It was racing fans. I don't know if a lot of them have been to Aqueduct as much as you and I have been to Aqueduct, but I think there were a lot of people who wanted to be part of, history, so to speak. But for me, Aqueduct, I've had mixed feelings. The majority of my time at Aqueduct was like in the last 10 or 15 years in the casino era, and I think things didn't work out maybe ideally with that, and because I think that was when the decay of Aqueduct began. So for me, it was always I didn't get to a lot of those great races. I didn't get to see Secretariat at Aqueduct or any of the fantastic racing, Kelso and things like that were there, but I spent a lot of time, a lot of trips there from Jersey.
Yeah, no, for folks who weren't down, the casino essentially had taken over half of the facility, so it was a little bit of a reduced facility. But again, given that, it was a fun crowd there. It was a fun way to send it off. It was sad, but it was a fun way to send it off, certainly. All right, let's take a little look at some Saratoga. And as usual, you'll be up here covering Saratoga meet for Horse Racing Nation?
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. For most of the meeting.
Yeah. I know you're in and out a little bit, but you're here most of the time. Down a little bit in the press box area, which, again, has changed over the years. Not as many of us up there as there were when I first started. When I first started, I was up in that second level, but I had to face away from the track.
Oh, I remember because there were double rows of people. I remember that well.
Every race, I had to look over my shoulder to watch the race. But a little bit different now, but it's fun. The group that's up there, everybody enthusiastic up there about the game and enthusiastic about yesterday. Didn't pull up a replay of the Wild Applause. That was won by Two of Flame. That was the one with the spill. You and I were talking before we went on the air, and I asked you if you had heard for sure. And I guess Javier did go to the hospital eventually. They took him to first aid. The other jocks walked off. Dylan Davis took his mounts off. It sounds like Javier are going to take the weekend off and reevaluate. But it was a scary spell. All the horses immediately got up and ran away. So it given the situation, it turned out as good as it could have, I suppose.
Oh, without question. And it was a really scary spill.
Yeah.
Supposedly the two horses that started there, the heels clipped. I think it was just a very, very minor thing, but it was enough to set that off. I think it was fortunate that when it happened, they all kind of spilled out outside of the rail, out into the middle of the track. But still, you could see a horse jumping over one of the fallen horses. And if that horse had tried to stand up at that time, it could have been even worse. Knock on wood, it was the jockeys were fine. The horses were fine. Let's hope that racing got that out of their system for this meeting.
Yeah, good point. And again, it was scary, but it was the result was okay, including Lovely Gray, owned by David Portney from Barstool. And folks, you can check his social media. He kind of went back after the race and gave an update on the horse who was standing next to him. And so again, the horses sound like all came out of it okay. But again, tip our hat to Two of Flame. I had used in that race Pillar of Beauty for West Point, and about mid-stretch, I thought I was going to get it, but Two of Flame came up for Rusty Arnold and got the victory there. So that was the result of the Wild Applause. The Schuylerville, I was very happy with the result because that was my topic. I was shocked at the odds of, and I said it earlier. Yeah, I'm right. I said I thought the horse was 6-1 on the morning line, was doubled up, went off at 12-1 off of that debut effort where the horse got away with a little bit of trouble at the start. I thought the horse was a real player in there and turned out to be. I went down to the winner's circle afterwards, and Kathleen Lynch said, didn't commit, but said likely one of the next steps on the 2-year-old filly trail up here, Adirondack, or maybe Spinaway. And I said to him, was this the game plan right after that debut effort down at Laurel? And he said it was the game plan before that. So clearly he had some confidence that Harper's Corner lived up to it. And
the interesting part of it was that, of course, Paco Lopez rode the horse, and Paco was in the middle of that spill. And I don't, typical of Paco, I mean, he can just bounce back out of anything. And there he was on this horse, and you could tell this horse was a winner because Paco was doing his Paco things that he does mid-turn. There he was, looking back, looking all around. And when Paco does that, you know, down the stretch, they're going to go. Yeah. And they went, and he opened up to more than a 5-length victory to go with his almost 8-length victory in his maiden win. I think it was a case of, Seth, where, you know, the New York bettors have a tendency to overlook horses from Laurel out of New York horses, even though his debut win was visually impressive. Yeah. But you know, that happens a lot, and it was a big price. We had it on a pick 5 ticket. Unfortunately, we didn't go all the way with that, but there were some big there were some big prices yesterday. I think there were 3 favorites yesterday. I think there were 5 double-digit horses, and a couple of them were $20 and a $30 horse.
There was the opportunity to walk away happy yesterday. Yeah. I was with Harper's Corner. I had a double in there that ended with that and paid very well.
Good for you.
So, yeah, again, it was a kind of a fun day from that aspect. Nice way to kick off the meet. And speaking of big prices, also wanted to take a look at the Saranac. Nice call. We won't hear the call here, but go back and listen to Frank Miramati. Here's Johnny with the multiple E's, playing it out perfectly. Here's Johnny gets up at $32 and change. And I must say, this is one I didn't use. You look at the record, it was hard to pull the trigger, but clearly, and, talked to Ray Handel in the winner's circle afterwards. Clearly, they had some high hopes for this horse. This was the 4th stakes race for a maiden. And you can say, boy, what a late run. This is gorgeous. And Ray had, said they had some confidence. They tried the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last year. Ran second in the seasonal debut down at Keeneland, but then was up the track a little bit. The pace scenario may have played out, although, as you say, the track was not playing to that. But regardless of how the track, you get the right pace. It always works out.
I think that's true in New York. Yeah. whether it's the main track or the turf course, we all want to look for those kind of biases quickly, but usually the New York tracks are fair enough that when a pace scenario comes up
like that,
and they go really fast, the closer is going to come. And you could see yesterday as the races went by on the main track, a race later on, now all the jockeys are sending. They're like, okay, and now they all send, and now you're,
That's the trouble with the situations like that. And then handicapping, like, oh, where's the speed? And then the race opens, and your horse that you thought was the speed is sitting fifth, and 4 other jockeys are out there. And it's like, I didn't see any speed from those. So that's the handicapping puzzle, no question. All right, speaking of handicapping puzzle, let's take a look at some of the stakes action today. The Sanford on the card, grade 3.
I put that horse on top. It's hard to overlook Steve Asmussen in these kind of races. So I've got booked as one that I'm considering. Was a maiden special weight winner at Saratoga after in his second start. So I think Jose Ortiz is up there. Jose is off to a great start. Won 3 races. I think his staying in Kentucky, he's gotten a lot of connections out of that. He's getting a lot of those relationships, like with Asmussen and other Kentucky trainers, and with Arad serving that suspension from Saratoga last year.
Oh yeah, and that people should be aware of that. Some of the jocks who were sitting out, and there was, I think, 4 of them that the first few days are out. Some of that goes back to last year at Saratoga, and they changed the rule some years ago that you have to serve during the meet, which is a great rule, because it used to be you get a suspension at Saratoga, you kind of fight it, and then in December you go, nah, I'll take it, and then they went on vacation in December. So I think it's a good rule. All right, Belmont Oaks also on the agenda today. Grade 1 event for, as the name suggests, 3-year-old fillies on the turf. I pulled up a replay of the horse I like in here, Fitz Right, winning last time. I'm going to be interested to see if we get 6-1 on Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt with a horse that has won 4 times in 6 starts. I'm 6-10, 4-1. How'd you see it?
Yeah, again, both of the races, the Belmont Oaks and the Belmont Derby, are races where we've got the international flavor. We've got some runners coming from Europe to go against our horses, and this is one of those. Imagination Lady, Imagination the Lady, who is 4-1 on the morning line for Brandon Walsh, has started out the year really well. An impressive win in Kentucky at Churchill Downs in the graded Edgewood Stakes, and before that was second by a neck in the Appalachian. 2 really tough early in the year turf races for 3-year-olds. So I put that one on top. I'm not going to overlook Jose Ortiz at this point. He's riding for Grant Forster, one that's coming up from Kentucky in faithful to evaluate those European horses, but someone once told me a good thing to do is look for horses that run well on the best racetracks in Europe, and that certainly is the case with that Godolphin runner.
Yeah, that is one I may regret leaving out. Charlie Appleby, but the past 2 or 3 years when he comes over, you got to pay attention. All right, the Suburban Grade 2 event, $500,000 up for grabs, 1.25 miles. I went back to Antiquarian, and I mentioned on the handicapping show earlier, I was kind of going back to this race last year, and we'll see Antiquarian wind up. And again, it was actually July 4th last year, wind up running second in here behind Phillies Fog, but a close up second, and then came out of that and won the Jockey Club Gold Cup. But he came in off a 97 buyer and bumped it up to a 104. He comes in now off a 99. We'll see if he can bump it up again. I went there, but Ford Steel, Stars and Stripes, Hit Show, Parchment Party, Phileas Fogg, who won the race last year, back in here. This is a fun edition of the Suburban.
It is a fun edition, an excellent edition, a field that is very hard to eliminate any horses. I think I only, eliminated a couple of them in here. The rest of them have to be considered win contenders. You mentioned Antiquarian. He ran well in the Met Mile. That was not an ideal spot for him. And then to be up there on the lead, knocking heads, not what you'd expect from that horse. And he ran well, knocking heads early and finished fourth. I don't certainly expect him to be running that kind of way in there. And you got to consider him to be a serious winner in here. Hit Show also another one. My goodness, $9 million in earnings. One of the leading earning active horses in North America. I think fourth at this point. Won that Dubai World Cup, beat Forever Young back a couple years ago. But you know what, Seth? He's 6 years old this year now, and hasn't won beyond a grade 3 since that Dubai World Cup. I dug in there a little bit. His recent victories have been against small fields. And hey, I've picked Hit Show a lot of times, but I right now he's got to show me again that I know this isn't a grade 1, but it's a grade 1 kind of field. So I'm going to avoid Antiquarian. I'm going to avoid Hit Show, and I'm going to go for a price in here. It's so wide open. I'm going with Tistastic.
All right.
It's Steve Asmussen and Jose Ortiz. This was a very, very nice 3-year-old. He won the Louisiana Derby. He went to the Kentucky Derby, finished 10th, a really troubled trip, didn't run badly. He was in contention, coming from far behind. He was in contention at the top of the stretch and then just got stopped really badly. I'm not sure I understand what was going on, but after the Derby, 4 starts on the grass, graded stakes races, no great results. And he was running against really good horses. Asmussen is not a big turf guy, so I wasn't sure what was going on. But you know what? He came back at Churchill Downs in an allowance and was an impressive winner. Is he back? Maybe, but 12-1 on the morning line. Yeah. I'm going to take a shot, and I'm going to make sure that I use that horse underneath. Yeah. Exactas, trifectas, 12-1. So Tistastic, I said, would be my long shot play of the day.
I like it. A little confidence builder back to the dirt. I like it. And finally, just a quick look at the Belmont Derby. Pulled up a replay here of Remember Mamba. Stark Contrast, I think, is at the top right in the top 2 or 3 in this 3-year-old division on the turf. And so the second place finish to put a blemish on the win streak for Remember Mama is no poor effort. Again, we're going to see Stark Contrast win, but Remember Mamba finish second. West End Kid, interesting. Pacific Avenue is Charlie Appleby. I used a Charlie Appleby in here. How'd you see the Belmont Derby?
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of Charlie Appleby, that Pacific Avenue, even though he lost to the other horse. Was it Title? What? What is Title Road, something like that?
Title Roll, yeah.
Title Roll. Yeah. He lost to that horse earlier, but he in Europe recently, he ran in one of those really good races and finished third behind Gstaad. And that's one of the best turf horses in Europe, period. Won our Breeders' Cup juvenile turf last year. So that's one to consider. The Will Walden factor, West End Kid, his horses get bet like crazy. Listed at 3-1. He's won 3 in a row on the Pennine Ridge, one that you got to consider. Remember Mamba. I think this is a turf race where there are a bunch of horses that prefer to be racing on or near the lead. I don't think we're going to have blazing fractions, but they're going to be out there knocking heads. Remember Mamba is a confirmed deep runner. Been a little erratic in the stretch lately. Hopefully Cherie he'll get out of that with maturity. But Remember Mamba's my top pick.
Very good. Matt, got to wrap it up, but we appreciate the little review, a little preview. And again, folks can find you at Horse Racing Nation. So again, we appreciate the visit this morning. We will talk again as the meet goes along.
Good. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll take a break. Jena Antonucci is in the green room. We'll talk literally the green room. We will talk about some of the horses she has coming up over the next couple of days and more. Stay tuned.
Are you kidding me? Cashew.
Congratulations, and here is your Horse Player of the Year.
To compete in Las Vegas this past March is an honor I will never forget.
You just won the NHC by 84 cents.
Wow. Oh, that's holy wow.
It's been referred to as possibly the best equine-themed gift shop on the planet. Impressions of Saratoga. Impressions of Saratoga, celebrating the Saratoga and equestrian lifestyles. It's your #1 choice for Saratoga souvenirs, apparel, and gift shopping. We have gifts for the entire family, and we're pet-friendly too. Visit us online at impressionssaratoga.com or come on down. Impressions of Saratoga, 368 Broadway, downtown Saratoga.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, we are joined now by Jena Antonucci. She has a nice runner in the Sanford, another one on the undercard, a couple of more tomorrow. So I thought we'd get her over, talk a little bit about that and more. Good morning.
Good morning.
And whenever I get trainers over here, you know, we always get folks who are new to the game to tune in and like to introduce folks. So we've talked to you before and talked a little bit about this, but just remind people how you got into the game. You were more on the show side of things.
I was a show horse person and grew up riding hunters and jumpers, and was one of those barn kids that jumped over jumps and got shin splints as a kid. So you learn how to deal with those in young horses now, because when you have them yourself as a young horse. But yeah, grew up doing all of that. And when I was a kid, we had a lot of thoroughbreds as show horses. We didn't have all those big warm bloods and fancy things. So that was my introduction to thoroughbreds as a youngster, was retraining thoroughbreds to be show horses, and I got bit by the bug.
Yeah. And I know that's kind of a thing. That, as I was driving in this morning, it dawned on me, I don't know whether have ever asked this before, but you also were a veterinary assistant, correct?
Yes.
And so you've dealt with all kinds of horses. And I know on the jump side of things, that has actually become kind of a thing. It seems like second career now for some of the thoroughbreds.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious. I love to go out to the paddock. I appreciate them, but I am not a horse person. They talk about thoroughbreds. Maybe it's an individual thing, but they talk about them being high strung. Is there a different temperament between the breeds?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of, we call the warm bloods have a moniker, sometimes called dumb bloods, but not all of them. There's a lot of warm bloods that can be hot blooded too. And so it just depends on what they're bred for and what their, primary focus of that breed is for. And so I think most associate a warm blood with a draft type of horse. And so they're a little bit more laid back and more casual minded at times. And so really learning how to train any of these different types of breeds is understanding how to tap into them mentally, and really retraining thoroughbreds a lot of times when we're doing a lot of those show horses, we do what's called lunging them. You put them on a long line, you go in circles to make them tired. But what do we do with a thoroughbred is you just make them more fit. So the more circles you go in, like we do at the racetrack, it just makes them more fit. And so a lot of the show horse people think, oh, we'll just put them on the lunge line, get them tired for the adult amateur or the young kid that's going to ride. And it's like, please stop going in circles. You're just making them more fit. You just got to mentally engage them and, teach them in a different way. And really, because they're so smart and inquisitive and they're so quick to learn things, you've got to really engage them in a mental capacity in a different way, not a physical way, because that's how we get them fit here, is going in more circles.
And you've kind of answered my question, because another question I had was, and again, for new folks who, I always like to talk a little nuts and bolts with trainers and jockeys. I think we think the trainer, we'll get the 4 furlongs today, and then next Friday we'll do the 4 furlongs or whatever. We're aiming for this race. But I'm guessing there's a lot of mental aspect as well. They're all individuals, and you have to know, oh, this guy has this quirk and this one. And
yeah, and that's, a lot of bringing along a young horse is, we're really working away from the term. I think you've heard this a lot when we're breaking and training a horse. And obviously and I appreciate your sentiment of bringing newer, younger people and newer audiences to it, is that doesn't sound great. Why do we want to break any animal? And that's really not what we're doing. We were introducing education, just like if we put a young human student inside of a classroom, we're not breaking them into math or breaking them into science. So we are introducing these skill sets to these young horses of what steering is, what brakes are, what a saddle is. And so it's more of a development introduction. And so it's a process when you're developing a young horse. And then you get into the racetrack. We've graduated elementary school and middle school at the farms. And now you bring them out to college, which is here. Now you're finishing all that skill set of the gait and the paddock and the ponies and all the traffic and everything that's going on. And so really it's reading that horse, seeing how they're taking it all in. And if you watch them start to vibrate a little bit, you might need to back off. So you can go, okay, take a breath, kid. Yeah. We'll get you there. And then you can come forward again.
Yeah. Interesting. Where was your base now? Because I know you're Florida
Wherever
person.
The horses are.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I know you spend some time down in Florida, but I know you had a lot of time in New York and certainly up here at Saratoga. Yeah. So it kind of travels as the year moves along.
It does. And this time of year, we consolidate a bit up here. We want to get our arms around some of the youngsters. We do have some youngsters at Gulfstream as well. Katie at the farm, my business partner, she's got some youngsters there as well. So the bigger chunk right now is up here that we're developing and bringing along.
All right, let's get into it a little bit, because you do have some horses that are entered over the weekend and some nice horses as well.
Thank you.
And let's start out with the Sanford runner. We'll take a look here and look at the win from Goodbye to Romance. Debut victory. You always have to appreciate that, back on the 15th of May. Nice looking victory. 63 buyer, but that's right in the mix with everybody this afternoon. Talk about your expectations coming into this debut and what you came away from the race with.
I'm really careful not to get too hung up on a data point. And I think buyers are obviously so subjective on where they're running, time of year and everything else. I think with this colt, you watched how professional he was, how he did it. He loved to sit off of that, came by DZ. Santana obviously under wraps inside of that last 16th there with more to go. He had a lot of horse still left underneath him. And so obviously pedigree-wise, horse style-wise, he's going to appreciate the more ground. He's tactical to be able to sit wherever he kind of needs to, and love that we won early. I got to back off on him a little bit, coming through the sales season, the training process. He got to get that breather early, get prepped for the spot, and hopefully continue on.
So, you get a victory in your debut effort like that, the middle of May. Was this going to be the game plan right coming out of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sanford, very good. So we'll look for that one. Nice race, but I think you've got a live one in there earlier on the card. This one's interesting to me. In the second race, you have New Rose, who's coming out of a victory. But more interesting, in the race after, there are horses that finish behind New Rose. So it might be a little barometer for people. And we're going to take a look at that.
Look at you being a handicapper.
Well, I got to throw that in. But going back to Belmont Stakes weekend, broke the maiden, second career start, did it in fine fashion, and now obviously steps into the non-winners of one for $120K. So a nice race. A mile distance. What are your thoughts, again, coming out of the maiden breaker and coming back this afternoon?
We got that first start in her at Keeneland. Needed to just show her what the job was about. Again, we talked about developing a horse, teaching them the ropes. We wanted to get that race under her belt. We were stabled there. Knew she wanted more ground, so was thrilled to see her come forward in that spot. Obviously, her pedigree, Nyquist, dam size 2 turns. So expected her to come forward well, like she did. Again, third start, I think from a handicapping point of view, you expect one to come forward again off of that kind of effort, tightening, maturity, all those kinds of things.
You mentioned is that it is a handicapping thing, particularly for me over the years, that third start. You get a layoff, third start of the career, third start off a layoff. So that for you works too?
Yeah, and it's people, my data's there. I'm not a big drill, breeze person. I like to watch a horse bring themselves into their form. And so, predictably, I think you'll see that on her too, where she's, we have the breezes in there, but I like to watch them race themselves to their peak form.
And again, a nuts and bolts side of things, you have Edgar Zayas named on today, third different jockey. Talk a little bit about the trainer and how you match up and find your jockeys once the horse is entered.
A lot of it's relationships and who you're comfortable with and trust. For me, I want to know that when I'm legging somebody up, they're going to go just ride hard. They're not going to worry about what a tote board says. They're not going to worry about all the other stuff. They're going to trust what's underneath them, trust that our team is putting absolutely everything into this to get there. The ownership believes in them. We believe in them, and I need to believe in what's underneath them. And that's what our focus is primarily when we're putting riders on our horses.
I love that you don't want them to look at the tote board because they're every once in a while.
I pay well. I pay well in New York.
As a handicapper player, every once in a while I have a long shot.
I have value in New York.
Long shot in there, and I think this horse stands a real chance. And then they come out of the gate, and it's like, he saw 20 to 5 or 30 to 1, and so that's a little bit frustrating. All right, let's quickly take a look at a couple for tomorrow. And you have a firster by Run Happy. I pulled up the page. Was sold right up here at Saratoga 2024. And by Run Happy, and you look at the page, and you can see right there, there's a nice black type, Barley, the Fierce Lady, a nice stakes winner up here, makes the debut tomorrow in the second race. And that June 25th Bullet workout looks pretty promising. What are your thoughts?
He's a lovely, lovely horse. He's just a big strapping colt, and he's just needed time. And John, obviously, no secret on being patient, and has just given this horse the space and time that he's needed to get himself there. But he's lovely, just a big, rangy kid that just needed the time to get all of that pulled together.
You feeling good off of that workout? Yeah, 46 and change, right up here.
Feeling good. Let's do this.
And also tomorrow you have Party Animal.
Yes.
I pulled up the third place finish last time.
Good race.
That was right up here again on Belmont Stakes weekend. Nice little Tabit Zanzibar finishes first, Criteria second, and Party Animal will run third, the number 11 horse. So what are your expectations off of that?
He ran a hard, that half in 43 and 4 is just, they were smoking that day. It was also a warm day that day. Watching him just battle and fight and never laid down, and just kept digging and fighting. And, we were torn on, obviously the sire can be a bit turfy. We tried on turfy. I think he's a tick better. Dirt numbers have kind of shown he can potentially go both ways. I think he is a tick better on the dirt. So I expect he'll be very live in that spot and probably he's such an honest horse, which we love about him. Any horse that shows up and gives you the honest efforts, his numbers have been consistent. And again, that data point of numbers, they're so subjective on what time of year you're running and where, but coming out of a salty maiden race when they're going 43 and 4 is, it's a big effort.
You started him on the turf, and then the last couple, if you look at buyer numbers, they improved moving over to the dirt.
And that's where we're going to keep an open mind with him. I do like him on the dirt. I'm not sure he's got that big kick of a close for the turf that you want to see. And so reading the room and this and that, he just keeps coming. And so we like him on the dirt right now. We're gonna ask the question again and see what we get.
And I couldn't let you go without pulling up 2023. We're going to go back to the Travers victory with Arcangelo. And speaking of handicapping, I could not pull the trigger on the long layup, but I salute you on laying off after the
long layup. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. So now you can do that to Cherie, too? She's going to have the long layup.
You're right.
See, now you're going to be backed into it.
It was just, remember this day again, that whole season with Arcangelo.
Yeah, it was this win for him. I was happy for him because it was a validation win for him to come back, to watch him beat his peers, not once, but twice. More than twice actually, and to watch his body of work through that was, I think it went from people thinking he was just a meh or okay sure, to watch him come back and validate it in the way that he did, I think was important for him and for the industry and the respect that he's gotten as a stallion now.
And I will tip my cap. Great training job
I
to come
appreciate
from
you.
the Belmont
Thank
to the Travers.
Read the horse.
And
read the room.
And speaking of reading the room, I when we did the Belmont Stakes handicapping preview downtown, you and Cherie were in the audience as special guests, and I commented, now there's a video out there to compare to yours, the Belmont Stakes. Cherie watching the Kentucky Derby. There were a couple of bonkers videos. If you haven't watched them, check both of them out.
I think we're always a little passionate when we're rooting them home. I mean, when you do this grind, and it is a grind, and it's a lifestyle of very early mornings and long days, but there's nothing like rooting your horses home and watching your team do it. And I say that all the time, watching your riders and your grooms and your hot walkers and your foremans and assistants, and you're watching a team accomplish what's so important to them is very, very gratifying.
Yeah, again, a couple of nice victories that 3-year-old season for Archangelo. I also just wanted to, I was going out as I do with guests and checking the internet and whatnot. Just wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit about Horseology. Pulled up the website, and that seems interesting. More than partnerships.
Yeah, no, we do. It's a whole umbrella of conception to retirement, and so I think a lot of times it's hard for people to feel this industry is touchable and accessible. And sometimes they just need to feel like a comfortable, familiar face, and there's no dumb question. And so we just make it easy for everyone to get involved somehow, whether they want to pin hook horses and just be involved to feel the market and sell and what it is to be part of that. Or, we want to race, but we don't know how to make the decisions. We want to be able to ask those dumb questions and not feel like we're being judged for it with other areas that may seem a little tighter in the tie per se. And so, very accessible in that sense. And Katie, like I said, my business partner, does a great job of leading the helm with all of that. And it's just a fun group. And we've got a great group of owners together that are just having a blast doing it. And obviously you're watching the runners and the winners, and the Girls Wear Pearls was first out yesterday. She's one of them. And so it's a lot of fun.
No,
a lot of fun.
That was a nice run for her. I was talking with some folks upstairs about that one. HorseologyInc.com if you want more information there. And again, before we let you go, I got one more thing because and I'll tell the guys to tee it up because you got to play the sound down in the studio too. I pulled up your Instagram.
Oh no, which one? Is it the chicken one?
It is the chicken one. And now I'm going to be an Instagram follower, no question about it. But yeah, guys, you can pull that up.
It's fantastic.
And we're on a little bit.
There it is. Come on. See? I mean, it's money. It's gold.
Why your feet are stumping?
You're welcome. You're welcome. But the chicken at the end here, watching the horse go by, there it goes. See? I know.
I'm not an Instagram person, but I'm now following you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And there was a couple others that were in that ballpark.
There's more to come. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, because this is serious enough at times. So, sometimes you got to break it up.
That was very good. I like that.
Well, thanks.
Jenna, appreciate the visit.
Thanks, it was fun.
And again, good luck this afternoon to Sanford and with the other runners this
We're
weekend.
excited.
They all look very interesting.
And
you mentioned Matt was going off, and he said some nice 2-year-olds, and you were saying we have a few that we're gonna
keep an eye out.
Yeah. Any whisper that we
you
can
can
get?
read. You know how to read. I'm not gonna. If you're listening and watching, you can read.
Good answer. Appreciate the visit. I know you got one in early today in the second race. So
I gotta go.
Yeah, we'll let you. I was also talking with some people that one of the best racetrack, was it last year or the year before? It was over at the museum. You were part of the fashion show, and that one was you were running late.
That happened. Yes,
had to come over.
I was in a ball gown sprinting across the road to the paddock for the first race. Yes, and we won it.
Yeah, and you look great in the winner's circle.
It'll never happen again. Jenna and a fascinator in a dress is a rare thing at a racetrack. It's not easy to settle. I need my toes. Yes, it happens.
Oh, I never thought about the toe. Oh,
listen, it's not that we don't want to be cute, but it's not practical. It's a balance thing. You don't want to lose those guys down there. So,
Jen, again, appreciate the visit this morning. I know it's busy always up here at Saratoga, but again, good luck over the weekend. We'll talk again.
We'll see you again.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Chris Griffin is in the house. We'll talk a little bit about Aqueduct closing days, firing up the America's Day at the Races a little bit later on for nighttime action. We'll talk about all of that and more. Stay tuned.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Top of the stretch here at Aqueduct for one final time in front of the crowd, and the leader, Assume Nothing, is trying to gut things out. Sarah Shaman to the outside. Trusty Rusty trying to make up ground two. Tiz Marcus, but Assume Nothing inside the final 16th. Assume Nothing front running and wins the final race held at this majestic racetrack, New York City's racetrack, the Big A, better known as Aqueduct.
I like the box tonight. It's really the box button. Not before. And I think a lot of the box before. Let's find the box.
There it was last Sunday, the last race ever at Aqueduct. Again, been talking about bittersweet, but Chris Griffin doing a nice job. That's rare company he was in. Last race at a racetrack that will never have a race again. But as I say, did a fine job. Now being joined by Chris Griffin, who was up in the booth on Sunday. And again, nice job. That's tough. You're in a small group there, and it's a kind of something that lasts forever at the last race at Aqueduct. And as I say, good job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Nothing like a legend like Tom Durkin to come in for the second race just to loosen you up a little bit and just kind of remind you of oh yeah, that guy's he's pretty well known around here, and he's pretty good at what he does. But yeah, it was a thrill to be a part of, and it was something that I prepared for. And this is my vacation time a little bit now, so it's nice to experience that. But yeah, Aqueduct is always going to be very special to a lot of people. When you think of 132 years and you think of a long time like that there's just so many stories, and to be a small part of that at the tail end, and to be in the line of great announcers, Capicella, Cassidy, Imbrial, Durkin, list goes on and on. Just really tremendous to be a part of, an honor to do it. So it's good. Yeah. And I thought it went off well. I thought it was okay.
Well, I put some footage together last night of closing day, and it was kind of fun because it was the last weekend we were down there, obviously with OTB, and it was a fun day, but it was bittersweet. It's sad that it's closing. It's sad for New York racing. I think racing in the United States, a major venue that's been a part of the racing scene for my entire adult life. And I remember when New York didn't race in the winter, and then the Intertrack came. But it was fun and enthusiastic crowd, and people were scooping up a little dirt at the end. If they didn't get the giveaway, which was a little jar of dirt, they ran out of that. But you can see it's a nice enthusiastic crowd. Jocks jumped into the crowd at the end of the day. So again, it was kind of fun. Were you getting the energy up in the booth?
Yeah, I mean, the fans and the bettors that came out, that's what really kind of set the tone for the day overall. When you talk about the line that was outside, and people were texting and saying, look at this line outside. And it's you know, it is bittersweet because you want to see that every day in horse racing. You want to be able to see that all the time, and you want to be able to experience that kind of raw emotion from people that have a couple bucks on the race, or people that have come out to see their favorite jockey, or people that have brought their kids out. And that was one of the things that really resonated with me in the lead up to the final day, was that everybody kept referencing, I remember when my uncle brought me here. I remember when my mom brought me here. I remember when my dad brought me here. And I think that's how a lot of people get into horse racing. I've started that way. My dad had me, a West Coast guy, so he had me on the rail there at Santa Anita. And it's just one of those things that when you think about it and you experience it, it's why it makes this sport so great. It's why it makes it something that we all want to be a part of. We wish we could have that every day, but the energy from the crowd, the roar of the crowd for that first race, that was not fake. That was not manufactured. I mean, the people were fired up. Yes, there was a giveaway, and to experience the dirt and take it home with you and to have that keepsake was fantastic. But everybody really came together in the Heart of Queens there and really had a great time, whether it was celebrating the Aqueduct Special, and I thought that was a very good piece, and that was just an exciting thing for people that took the train. It means a lot to a lot of people, and the connections really deliver too. I mean, to be able to make sure we had good field sizes and make sure we had some good racing, and people stuck through it the entire day. And I saw Kendrick jumping in the crowd. That should be no surprise that Kendrick was jumping in the crowd there, because he's a fan favorite for sure at Aqueduct. And whether it was in the wintertime or that closing day, it's going to have a special place in a lot of people's hearts. And you know, we move on to the future and what's going to become, and we're looking forward to that. But it was just a lot of fun to be a part of. But the fans and bettors really made that and set the tone.
And the enthusiasm was there throughout the day. It was one of the things I like about up here.
Yep.
The horse that won the race comes back to the winner's circle, and everybody was applauding,
100%.
and that's so much fun up here too. So that was throughout the day. It was a nice crowd, and again, enthusiastic. I was down the week before as well, because I wanted to get some footage when the place was a little bit more quiet. And I had the media badge on, and I was taking pictures and videos, and I had a bunch of people walk up to me. I've been coming here for 50 years. What am I going to do? But people were also getting, we're putting a piece together, and you're going to be a part of that, because I went up in the booth and talked to you, and you said some fun things. Kendrick, I got him up there Belmont Stakes weekend. But I kind of waited until one of the trains came and got people coming off the train, because you could take the subway to the track. And so it was a lot of fun. But and I kind of feel for those people who that was kind of home to them as far as their racetrack life.
And raw emotion is something that Aqueduct should be known for. You know, New York City, being New York City's racetrack, you're going to get people that applaud you and people that cheer you. You're going to get people that are going to be a little upset sometimes, and some people that are going to, tell you you should have picked a different lane, or you should have run this way, or you should have done this and that. And, it's memorable. It's sad that it's over, but it's something that we could take with us. And at least we had that day to really relish and enjoy it.
And one of the memories you tossed, speaking of Kendrick, you mentioned it ties into him going into the crowd, because you did it that day when he got the 4,000th victory.
Yeah, that picture of him too, holding the sign. Like I associate it with like going to the big dance in the NCAA tournament and kind of punching your ticket. That's what it felt like, because you had all the people around him. They were smiling at the camera, and there was just different looks and different shapes and sizes and different people. And it was just, it felt very New York. It felt very Aqueduct. And I think for him to do it there on kind of a cloudier day, and it was a little chilly, was just fantastic.
Yeah, no question about it. So again, we're putting the piece together. All of that will be in there.
Right.
I have plenty of, I think I've got 20 or so people, trainers and jockeys and media people, and announcers. Got a little Tom Durkin as well.
Wonderful.
So, and that was fun when Tom, at one point I'm in the booth and I look up, he's doing the scratches and changes.
I tell you, we had to honor the past, and Tom Durkin is still very much around, and he is just, He's got an aura about him, that charisma, Riz, as the kids would want to say. He has just got this, takes the air out of the room when he walks in, and there were moments where I said, "Is this real life?" And I really did, because to be able to sit with the man and to actually talk with him about horse racing, and to be able to, it wasn't really about sharing stories. It was just kind of understanding how he went through his routine and how you have to kind of sit there for a moment and really enjoy and experience that on just from a public speaking level. And the man that could have so many different phrases and words, and his vocabulary is out of this world. So yeah, I had to pinch myself, and then I'm watching him call a race, and again, I'm like, this is wild stuff to be just a part of, because I started as a fan. I mean, I think a lot of us do. You know, I just enjoyed being a kid and hanging out and watching the colors of the silks, and now to be able to experience, I'm watching the great Tom Durkin call a race in front of me. Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. And John Embrial, somebody that I respect so much, to be able to see him visit a week prior and to sit down with him and just get, a couple words of encouragement. It's always important to remember the people that paved the way for you. And I think that's really what summed up to the closing of Aqueduct, is like, think of all the people that had done it before you and got you to this point. So, and luminaries in the sport, all of those New York announcers, because the Belmont Stakes and the cigar, what is now the Cigar Mile and whatnot, these guys called all those iconic races and iconic race calls. And now you're part of that, but I have a question going back, and I ask pretty much every announcer I get in here. It's not, you're in grade school, you want to be an astronaut or a policeman, maybe. How did you become a race caller? It's a great question. I actually thought I was going to run restaurants my entire life. I was really into the restaurant industry, and I was out in Los Angeles, and then I was kind of doing that thing. And there was basically somebody that I worked with. He didn't say you were wasting your time, but he's like, you have a skill set on the microphone. He said, you should use that. He actually invited me to a drag racing event, a National Hot Rod Association drag racing event in Baytown, Texas. And I went there, and I just announced for a weekend. And I was doing it, there was some, I guess, some excitement or something like that. Whatever. I guess I was doing something right. And he said, I didn't bring you down here just to fill in. I brought you here to hire you, to find you a job. And so I ended up doing that for 4 more years after that. And then I did the Harlem Globetrotters. I did that for 6 years after that. And as the voice of the Globetrotters, Frank Miramati and I had a random connection. It's a long story, and I won't bore you with the details, but it's an interesting story. It's just a random kind of connection where we ran into each other, talked about horse racing a little bit, and he got me my first opportunity. I asked him if I could call a race one day, and I was at the booth with him at Los Alamitos, actually, when he was out there, and he said a race. He said, I'll get you a gig. I'll find you something. And then I ended up at the Humboldt County Fair in Ferndale, California, bull ring, for 7 days. It was 2 weeks, 7 days. Fantastic place to be on the fairs. And then I did that. I was shouting, I was screaming, I was sweating. I was like looking through my program. And I had studied a bunch of thoroughbred races before that. My first race I ever called was a 220-yard mule race. I said, I didn't practice for this. This is not something that they prepare you for, 220 yards and mules. And that was the first race that I ever called. Bad News Bubba was the first winner that I ever called in the photo finish. And ever since then, now a decade later, I've had more and more opportunities come my way. And one thing is, when opportunity presents itself, you got to take it. Yeah. And I think that was kind of the one thing that I really take pride in, is that I don't care if I had to fly to Portland Meadows from Chicago. I don't care if I needed to take a weekend opportunity somewhere. Prove that you want to be in the sport and you want to do it and you want to be good at it, if not great at it. And that's where it all started. And so, yeah, I started on the fairs, and then I worked my way basically to the East Coast. And here I am. And I, again, pinch myself, man, because I'm humbled by the opportunities. I'm hoping that I'm doing a pretty good job. And I'm looking forward to whatever the future holds.
Speaking of taking opportunities, did I read right? Day after Aqueduct closed, you were filling in for Jessica down at Parks?
I was not.
Oh, I
think it was Gabe.
Oh, it might have been Gabe.
Yeah,
might
it was Gabe.
It might have been Gabe. Yeah. But you were a Parks announcer.
I was there for a little bit. Yeah, I was there for a year. One thing with the East Coast, and I know that we see this with the horses and the connections as well. you can get to different racetracks, within an hour and a half. And so that's when opportunities in New Jersey at Monmouth Park came up, and opportunities to come fill in the winter. And like I say, if it presents itself and you can make it happen, you make it happen. And
unfortunately, it seems like those Northern California fairs have kind of, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I think
because I was never there, but I always got a feeling they were. Yeah, it was a fun, special kind of event.
Well, it's fantastic because it's built into the fair, obviously, and people are coming from all over. It's a very casual fan base. I mean, there's going to be some bettors that are involved, but it's tough from a horse population standpoint because you're only going to be in one spot for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But the feeling of, I've always worked with big crowds. I've always worked with a lot of people and energy and kind of, energy, as Tom Durkin would say. It's just, you really feed off of that in this game. And that's important for me. And so the fairs really bring that. It's unfortunate how situations go. Overall, we want to make sure that we keep the horses sound and healthy, and we want to make sure that we have a good horse population. So it's a little bit tough sometimes to get those fields going. Always going to love it. I don't know if there's a comeback somewhere, if they can dig down deep. But yeah, wonderful stories from them.
My only fair experience was at Northampton in Massachusetts. Sure. I was there for the last race, the last loss, race loss number 100 for Zippy Chippy.
Yeah, of course. There you go. Yeah. And I don't think some people realize too, there's a lot of fairs that run around the country that we may not even hear about, where they've got some sort of racing going on. So,
Timonium down in Laurel is a fair.
Yeah,
and that's still a play.
It's still something that definitely happens, and it's a great environment because everybody always talks about the food and the funnel cakes and all the other turkey legs and things like that at the fair. But it's always can be some fun racing.
Yeah, Northampton, I think there was a stand that was steak in a cup. So
steak in a cup.
I think I have a picture of it someplace.
Sounds great.
I have to ask you. You mentioned the Globetrotters, and I had written them down. Did you travel around with them?
Oh man, that was quite an experience.
And is there a script?
Not a script like we know everything that's going to happen.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, the Generals lost every single time they played the Globetrotters. I don't know why that continues to happen. They seem like a very sound basketball team. They hit shots from the outside. Sometimes their defense just really lacks in that fourth quarter, but I would never say that it's scripted. I would just say that it's
I wasn't
something
thinking so much
that
of the
is,
game. I was thinking, are you setting things
100%. Yeah, you're narrating the game and making sure that the audience can stay into it.
Yeah.
It's entertainment, and we want, for an hour and a half, we want to keep you there, and the players do most of the job.
Yeah.
I just saw my hair there on camera. I got to make sure I fix that. So come on, where you at? But
don't worry, you're sitting next
to
me.
Kids, that's okay. You still look good. You're dressed up in the tie. But yeah, the Globetrotters, you basically play in one city. You're jumping on the bus and you're traveling to the next city and the next city and the next city and the next city. You got very lucky. Sometimes you got on an airplane and you could fly to the next location. But to be able to see, I've been to 49 states. Alaska's the only one that I haven't been to. So looking forward to getting that done. And I got to see the world. I mean, to be able to get paid and to travel with a well-known team, to be in Europe and to be in Australia and to be in New Zealand and to be all over the world. Wonderful experience. And I was thrilled to be a part of it. It's a little bit of a younger man's game because it's just a lot of travel. I mean, it's a lot of travel when you're running around and whatnot. Yeah. So after a while, your back starts to hurt and things like that. But great experience, great time.
Well, we're glad to have you over on the horse racing side of things now. You're doing a great job.
Which is not scripted, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Let's make that clear.
Yeah, we can write stories that we might see play out on the racetrack, but yeah.
Have you visited Belmont? Have you visited the booth there?
I haven't. I have not. Yeah, it's been something that I've been viewing from afar, and hopefully get the opportunity sometime this summer with a little bit of downtime to be able to visit and throw a hard hat on and just kind of make sure I take a walk through. Looking forward to the booth and looking forward to seeing what that's like. And I think
we were down for
it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. I mean, it's going to be something that I feel like everyone in the area, just from the curiosity factor, will be coming through. And hearing some big names for that opening weekend. So it's
Forever Young. They announced so early they're going to show up opening day.
It's fantastic. Yeah. It's fantastic what the racing office does, and there's so much work. We talk about the big days, and we talk about just even a Saturday. Happy 4th of July, by the way. big days like this, it takes a lot of people to make it happen.
Yeah.
The connections, of course, and the people that are working on the backside, but for the racing office and for everybody on the TV side of things, to put on TV, I'm sure to put on a production, it takes time. It takes a lot of preparation. And so it's a shout out and making sure that they know that they're appreciated as well, because it takes a lot to put on a program. Speaking of that, I have to wrap up because there is the early post time today. So we want to get you guys to the pregame show. But one of the reasons I had you in is because the America's Day at the Races, very popular. And I've said we've had the people in doing that since they fired it up a few years ago. I think it's great for New York racing, but I think it's great for racing across the country. But also, it's still America's Day at the Races, but it's kind of America's Night at the Races. You'll be hosting a little harness action and a little Lost Al tonight, right? Yeah, it's America's Day at the Races and Saratoga Live. So that's one thing to point out, too. But, yeah, on FS1, we're going to be on later tonight at 7:30. We've got some Meadowlands, Pace of Limbs that we're going to have tonight, and we're going to have some Scioto Downs. And, yeah, we're going to throw some thoroughbred action in there as well, and that'll be exciting from Los Alamitos. So looking forward to a great program tonight. Gabe Pruitt will be sitting next to me, so Globetrotters reference here. All I got to do is pass the ball, man. I just got to make sure that I pass the ball and keep things moving along. I'll be hosting, and I'm honored to do the TV side of things because I love, once in a while being in front of the camera, and I like having my voice heard too. But it's nice to be able to talk about the sport and sit down and go through the races and bring that to the audiences. So that expanded coverage too is going to be really great for us. You on the paddock set? Yeah, we're going to be on the paddock, and we'll be out there tonight. A different look with darkness behind. Yeah. Like as long as there's a little bit of a cool fan right there, I'm going to be set because it can get a little warm. I think tonight will cool down. Yeah, look forward to it. Still a little steamy. And thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you guys do. I appreciate it. Yeah. And I appreciate everybody who tuned in this morning. We're back on tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock for the Handicappers Report, 10 o'clock for Loose on the Lead. Sunday, as always, our partner Steve Bick will jump in and join us for Loose on the Lead tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Don't forget, there's a little bit of an early post time, 12:35 today, so keep that in mind if you want to come up here. Again, it's a little cooler than yesterday, still a little hot, so stay hydrated. If you can't make it up, fire up the barbecue and enjoy the races this afternoon via television. Go down to the race book down in Albany and enjoy the air conditioning because it's a fun card today. But we appreciate your tuning in. Again, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Handicappers Report, 10 a.m. Loose on the Lead. We'll see you then.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards Program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
Are you kidding me? Shoot.
Congratulations, and here is your Horse Player of the Year.
To compete in Las Vegas this past March is an honor I will never forget.
You just won the NHC by 84 cents.
Wow. Oh, that's holy sh**. Wow.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Drop in class. She's worked 3 times since then. They bothered to ship her up to Saratoga. She must be doing okay. And she did.